ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथानुग्रहं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णफलान् सहगना ललिता श्रीकृष्णकान्तांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधेवृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी भगवानी हरिप्रिये मञ्चकल्पतरुर्भ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमोस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्रे येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपरिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। So, welcome everyone once again. Thank you for joining this session. We are studying chapter 13 of Bhagavad-gita, and so far we have covered first 22 verses. In the session yesterday, we were discussing how the soul comes in contact with material nature. Purushaha prakriti sthohi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangasya sadasadyoni janmasho. So here, two questions are asked by Arjuna. Purusha and Prakriti. Who are they? So, actually, there is only one Purusha, the Supreme Lord. But when the Jiva is conditioned in nature, or in conditioned state, the Jiva thinks himself also as a Purusha. Right? So, then the Jiva becomes Purusha by mentality. Though the Jiva is Prakriti, but it's an adopted mentality that I'm Purusha. So, by mentality, the Jiva is Purusha. By constitution, the Jiva is Prakriti. Right? That is the situation of the Jiva in material world. Right. So that is going to be explained by the Lord to Arjuna. And mm, we explained with examples yesterday. Now, you see, when a Jiva comes to this material world, the illusion is so strong, that perverted thinking is so strong, that the Jiva thinks I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am all in all. Uh, and the limit of or the extent of perversion can be understood by this one example which I want to share with you. So it's a real example. This was somewhere sometime in 2016 that a newspaper article was published. Mental health news, source Med India by Reshma Awant. So playing online games may be relaxing for some time, but getting too much addicted may lead to extremities. In one such case, two brothers in Delhi have become so much addicted to games that they forgot to eat, sleep, and even stop emptying the bladder. Hmm. The brothers, one aged 22, another 19, played continuously for more than 18 hours without eating or sleeping. It got so bad that they even started urinating and defecating in their pants. Twice, even their homes were looted when they were playing. So, this is just an example of how the jiva becomes engrossed in illusion. And what is video game? It is an illusory reality. It's a virtual reality. And these people who are playing the game, they have become so much engrossed in the character on the screen that they have forgotten to eat, sleep, and even going to the washroom, emptying their bladder. Yeah. Which means what? They forgot the reality and they dived so much into the illusion, they started thinking this illusion is the reality. This is what exactly happens with jiva, a conditioned soul. Mm. And our situation is seen just like we are now seeing the situation of these two brothers. Pathetic. Similarly, those who are pure devotees of Krishna, when they look at us and whatever we are doing in this material world, so then they say, pathetic. You know, pathetic. So much absorbed in false reality. Mhm. And why this is happening? Because these two brothers, they projected their consciousness into the virtual reality. This is what we are doing. We are projecting our consciousness into our own illusory reality, and we forget who we are. I am spirit, soul. I am a part and parcel of Krishna. I am a servant of Krishna. Mm. That's how strong the illusion is, or that's how strong the material bond is. So strong, so strong, right? Mm. So now what does the super soul do? Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwarah paramatmeti chapi yukto dehesmin purushah parah. This is the relationship between the super soul and the jiva. What does the super soul do for the jiva? What does it do? His witness, upadrashta. Yet in this body, there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. Perfect. It is stated here that the super soul, who is always with the individual soul, is a representation of the Lord. He is not an ordinary living entity. Because the monist philosophers take the owner of the body to be one, they think that there is no difference between the super soul and the individual soul. To clarify this, the Lord says that He is represented as the Paramatma in every body. He is different from the individual soul. He is para, transcendental. The individual soul enjoys the activities of a particular field, but the super soul is present not as finite enjoyer, nor as one taking part in bodily activities, but as the witness, overseer, permitter, and supreme enjoyer. His name is Paramatma, not Atma, and is transcendental. It is distinctly clear that the Atma and Paramatma are different. The super soul, the Paramatma, has legs and hands everywhere, but the individual soul does not. And because the Paramatma is the Supreme Lord, he is present within to sanction the individual soul's desiring material enjoyment. Without the sanction of the Supreme Soul, the individual soul cannot do anything. The individual is Bhukta or the sustained, and the Lord is Bhokta. or the maintainer. There are innumerable living entities, and he's staying in them as a friend. The fact is that every individual living entity is eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and both of them are very intimately related as friends. But the living entity has a tendency to reject the sanction of the Supreme Lord and act independently in an attempt to dominate nature. And because he has this tendency, is called the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord, right? The Lord can be situated either in the material energy or in the spirit. Sorry, the living entity can be situated either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy. As long as he is conditioned by the material energy, the Supreme Lord, as his friend, the Supersoul, stays with him just to get him to return to the spiritual energy. The Lord is always eager to take him back to the spiritual energy. But due to his minor independence, the individual entity is continually rejecting the association of spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditioned nature. The Lord, therefore, is always giving instruction from within and from without. From without, he gives instruction as stated in Bhagavad-gita, and from within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material world are not conducive to real happiness. Right? Just give it up and turn your faith toward me, then you will be happy, he says. Thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in the Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, begins to advance toward a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Fine. Okay. Let's read this. Ya evam veti purusham prakritim cha gunai saha sarvata vartamanopi na sa bhuyo vijayate. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So, this is the path of jnana. Through knowledge, you attain liberation by understanding how these three function, you know, the nature, living entity, and the interaction. Purport. Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Clear understanding of material nature, the super soul, the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one eligible to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. This is the result of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence by his personal endeavor in association with the authorities, saintly persons, and the spiritual master. He has to understand his position and then revert to the spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality of Godhead. Then it is certain that he will never come back into this material existence. He will be transferred into the spiritual world for a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना अन्यसाङ्ख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation. So who are these? The Ashtanga yogis, right? Others through the cultivation of knowledge. Who are these? The Jnana yogis. And still others through working without fruitive desires. Who are these? Who are these?
Bhakta.
निष्काम कर्म
Nishkama karma yogis. Right? Purport. Yes. Alok Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, then the Lord informs Arjuna that the conditioned souls can be divided into two classes as far as man's search for self-realization is concerned. Those who are atheists agnostics and skeptics are beyond the sense of spiritual understanding. But there are others who are faithful in their understanding of spiritual life, and they are called introspective devotees, philosophers and workers who have renounced fruitive results. Those who always try to establish the doctrine of monism are also counted among the atheists and agonists. In other words, only the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the best situated in spiritual understanding, because they understand that beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is expanded as the Paramatma, the Super Soul in everyone, the all pervading Godhead. Of course, there are those who try to understand the Supreme Absolute Truth by cultivation of knowledge, and they can be counted in the class of faithful. The Sankhya philosophers analyze these material world into 24 elements, and they place the individual soul as the 25th item. When they are able to understand the nature of the individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements, they are able to understand also that above the individual soul, there are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the 26th element. Thus, gradually, they also come to the standard of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Those who work without fruitive results are also perfect in their attitude. They are given a chance to advance to the platform of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Here it is stated that there are some people when they are able to understand the nature of the individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements, they are able to understand also the above the individual soul. There is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is the 26th element. Thus, gradually they also come to standard of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Those who work without fruitive results are also perfect in their attitude. They are given a chance to advance to the platform of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Here it is stated that there are some people who are pure in consciousness and who try to find out the super soul by meditation. And when they discover the super soul within themselves, they become transcendently situated. Similarly, there are others who also try to understand the supreme soul by cultivation of knowledge, and there are others who cultivate the Hatha Yoga system and who try to satisfy the supreme personality of Godhead by childish activities. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one clarification.
Yes, Prabhu.
These three things are there: atheists, agnostics, skeptics. Atheist means they don't believe in God. Agnostic means they neither believe nor disbelieve. These Sanshayavadi skeptics, how do we understand them? Skeptics.
Skeptics are similar, you can say. Skeptical means you are
Similar to agnostics.
the agnostics are, you can say, those who it's not that they don't believe in God. It's not that they believe in God. Agnostics are those who do not openly accept that I don't believe in God.
Can we call them neutral? Neither they
Not
believe nor
really
believe.
neutral. Not really neutral. They are more bent towards that God does not exist, right?
God
But
does
it's
not
just that,
exist. Okay.
yeah, but it's just that they don't want to openly accept it or admit it. That we think like that. No. So they will say we are agnostics.
And skeptics,
Hmm.
same.
So he's not sure, and skeptic is similar, you know. Very doubtful, very doubtful. Like skeptical means being very doubtful, very critical, always doubting, always asking unnecessary questions, a lot of questions. That's skeptics.
Okay.
If God exists, then why like this? Why like that? Hmm. So here in the Purport, Shilbrad explained about all different types of approaches in trying to understand the super soul, right? The dhyanis, the jnanis. Hmm. Next, अन्ये तु एवमजानन्तः Shrutvanyebhya upasate te vichati tarantyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. So this refers to the devotees. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Okay. This refers to the devotees.
Means
Shruti
those without believing, they start worshipping because others are worshipping. Still, they are better than Hatha yogis or Ashtanga yogi or Jnanis because they are coming to the Lord. Can it be taken like that? They are better than.
No, because of their tendency to hear from authorities. It's not that they are blind, they are hearing from the authorities. They may not understand why they are doing something, but they are hearing from the authorities. So they are in a much safer position now.
So if we have to compare between them and Ashtanga yogi, we'll take that they are better.
Of course. Of course, they're much better. Very much better. Yes, Nagarajan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This verse is particularly applicable to modern society because in modern society there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing because if the common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress. Especially according to Lord Chaitanya, if he hears the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self realization, and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse, particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to home. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question. Can I?
Yeah, please.
Prabhuji, when you were talking about the emotional or forceful people who start with the service, devotional service, I just wanted to find out whether I am of that, because in the beginning I just knew Krishna as a god, but then after I started reading Prabhupada's books, after I started uh, listening to the lectures of acharyas, then I started believing, and that belief then turned into faith over a period of time. So does like am I also part of the same people who were forceful or emotionally started following Krishna?
Maybe, but that's okay. If you are still on the right track, it's fine. You might have started as an emotional or sentimental follower because of some past sukruti, some natural attraction towards Krishna. So maybe possible, yes.
So over a period of time, such kind of followers can turn into a pure devotee kind of this thing, Prabhuji.
Yes, anyone can turn into pure devotee of Krishna if they want to become purified. Different people come to Krishna consciousness because of different reasons, right?
Right.
So, over the period of time, their understanding grows. Mm, They become
But
actually
Prabhuji,
really
yeah,
attracted to Krishna because of Krishna's qualities and because of them tasting the uh, bliss of Krishna consciousness with knowledge and experience.
but Prabhuji, any person who starts with this particular getting into Krishna consciousness is first either a emotional one or a forceful one, right, Prabhuji? Only then, once he starts getting into doing the service, chanting the names, then he
Oh,
starts.
do you remember this verse from Bhagavad-gita? Chaturvida bhajante mam? Or you
Yeah,
forgot?
yeah.
So there Krishna has given four categories of people who come to him.
Yes.
So that's enough, no, for us to know which kinds of people approach Krishna.
Okay. And then their taste starts developing over a period, right? Okay.
If they seriously practice Krishna consciousness, eventually their knowledge increases. So then they may turn from a person who is materialistically inclined to someone who is actually now in knowledge worshipping Krishna, understanding Krishna is the Supreme Lord, right?
Okay. Correct.
Mm.
Thank you,
So,
Prabhuji.
all right. Any other thing? Hmm. Okay, so now there's something which I wanted to do. So what's the answer?
Immediate cause is Robin, who shot the bullets, and remote cause is Supersoul Paramatma.
I think it's both Robin and Samir.
Hmm?
Krishna Prabhuji. Gun, bullet, Samir and Robin.
Who-
Bullet, gun, Samir and
Prabhuji, all are the causes. Everybody is a different cause. For example, the guns, the bullet, Robin's hand, Samir's planning, all of these are uh, the material cause. And Robin and Samir and Manish are the ones who've actually executed it because of their karma. So they will be the causal, the efficient causes. And then we have Super Soul, the Paramatma, who has permitted this entire thing to happen. So all of them are the causes.
So from this chapter, we understand that three causes: Prakriti, the Jiva, the Supersoul. Three doers, right? In that way, everything that is involved here is a cause. Everything is a cause. Just the type is different. Right? So there are these four terminologies: material cause, causal cause, efficient cause, and remote cause. Material, causal, efficient, and remote. A remote cause is Supersoul, Paramatma. Because Paramatma is only sanctioning. Why was Manish executed? Because Manish had some karma, isn't it? So what is the cause of this entire murder? It's Manish's own karma, right? Isn't it? Hmm? So that's called causal cause. The main reason, how it started, how it all began. Then who are the personalities who executed the plan? Robin and Samir. So they are the efficient cause. They did it. And what did they use for doing it? The gun, the bullets, Robin's hand, Samir's planning. All products of material nature. So that's called material cause.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hmm.
Prabhu, if Manish has his own karma, that's why this is happening. Then why Robin and Samir, they are also incurring sins now?
They will get sin. Of course, they will get sin. Even if Manish has his karma to die or to be killed, they will also get the sin because they became the cause. They had the choice to become the cause or not become the cause. Right? They had a choice to become the cause or not become the cause. Because they became the cause, efficient cause, they executed. They will also consider of being involved in it, and they'll get a reaction for being involved in it.
Yes. If they are becoming the cause, is it that God has chosen them to do this, or it's
Why would Krishna choose? He has nothing else to do.
just asking.
Why would Krishna choose?
No, how come they are the person who, is it that they are the enemy? Something like this.
Whatever it may be, they may be enemy, they may be friends, they may be relatives. Forget about that. What is the reason they have chosen to do it? That's their personal issue, isn't it? Whatever may be the reason, but they had a choice to become the cause or not become the cause, isn't it?
Yes.
And because they chose to become the cause, they will get a reaction for it.
Yes, thank you.
This efficient cause can be called immediate cause also, or there is some difference efficient and immediate?
Yeah, immediate cause you can call.
Oh.
You can call it as immediate cause. So what is the result of this knowledge, which we are getting now? One begins to see everything around oneself with the eyes of knowledge, right? That is explained in verses 37 onwards. So 27 onwards. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavar jangamam kshetra kshetragya sanyogan tadvithi bharatarshabha. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the mover of the field. Gunagranga.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat. So both material nature and the living entity, which were existing before the creation of the cosmos, are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of the living entity and material nature. There are many manifestations like trees, mountains, and hills, which are not moving, and there are many existences which are moving, and all of them are but combination of material nature and the superior nature, the living entity. Without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. The relationship between material nature and spiritual nature is eternally going on, and this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the controller of both the superior and inferior nature. The material nature is created by him, and the superior nature is placed in this material nature. And thus, all these activities and manifestations take place. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, these trees, non-moving moving items, these things, they don't have mind intelligence or but soul and super soul are there in tree.
Who does not have?
Trees, non-moving
They don't have mind intelligence.
The mind intelligence they don't have, but
Who
soul
said?
and super soul is there always with them.
Who said they don't have mind?
Because they are not able to react, they are not able to express their emotions. So I thought intelligence or mind or that. I was just trying to what is missing, which is the in human beings and
There's
in
nothing
trees.
missing. There's nothing missing. There's nothing missing. Everything is there. It's just that
subtle consciousness, whatever we have, they also have.
Yeah, they also have. They also have. What is different is the consciousness is different. Because the consciousness is different, therefore their ability to express or feel is not so much. But
This
everything,
body.
mind is there. Well, mind is a part of what? Subtle body, no?
Subtle body. And they have subtle body.
Prabhu, as long as the jiva is conditioned soul, transmigrating from one body to another body, whichever body he is taking, can he become free from the subtle body?
No, it goes invariably.
As long as the jiva is not liberated from material life, how can the jiva come out of subtle body or become free from subtle body? So whether it is tree, whether it is mountain, whether it is anything else, any body the jiva takes, the subtle body will be there. When subtle body will be there, mind will be there, intelligence will be there, false ego will be there.
And soul and super soul are also there.
Why soul and super soul will not be there? Come on. If it's a jiva, how the soul will not be there? Right? If it's a jiva, the soul will be there.
When the tree is cut, how do they feel? Means no expression is there, no? Because of only low
The tree, when you say the tree, there is no expression. You are thinking in a very gross manner. It is not at all true that the trees don't feel. The trees also feel. They have so much scientific research done on how the trees they react to the different experiences they go through. You put trees close to pleasant music, the trees grow. If you put the trees close to hard rock music, the trees they dry up. So the trees do react, they do respond, but they can't cry tears like
Prabhuji, there is in Hawaii, there was this, if they have to chop any tree, they don't cut the tree. They get together and, they curse the tree. And when they curse the tree over a period of time, the tree automatically falls. So there are a lot of experiments which are done like that.
The trees do respond, but they don't respond the way we respond. Right? This is very simple. I mean, the ability to respond is not the same as we. So that doesn't mean that they don't have consciousness. They don't feel. They also feel. They also have.
Bhagavad, there are so many stories of trees wanting to bend down with their fruits, for Krishna in Vrindavan. I mean, we've read so many stories like that.
All right.
Okay, bro. Thank you.
Okay. Next. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatsu amanishyantam yah pashyati sapashyati. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Which actions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Pranam. Anyone who by good association can see three things combined together: the body, the proprietor of the body or individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these three things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the super soul exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parameshwara is sometimes translated as the individual soul because the soul is master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is master. But there are others who interpret this Parameshwara to be the super soul. In either case, both the super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening. Thank you, Prabhu.
समं पश्यन् हि सर्वत्र समवस्थितम् ईश्वरं न हि नस्ति आत्मनात्मानं ततो याति परां गतिम्. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living entity does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. So this is a very nice verse which is giving us some insights in controlling our mind. So one who sees the super soul equally present everywhere does not degrade himself by his mind. Prabhupada writes something in the purport to explain the mood of the verse. The living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than in his spiritual existence. What is the difference in the spiritual existence? The living entity is in the seva bhav, service attitude. In material existence, the jiva is in the ishvara bhav, the enjoyment attitude. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living thing, he does not degrade himself by a destructive mentality. Here, instead of using the word enjoyment mentality, Prabhupada is using the word destructive mentality. Actually, it is enjoyment mentality. But a living entity's desire to enjoy in this material world comes at the cost of someone else's destruction. Because a living entity can never enjoy, a conditioned soul can never enjoy by doing good in true sense to another entity. He can only enjoy by causing destruction to the other entity. And he therefore gradually advances to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes, but when the mind turns to the supersoul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding.
Prabhuji, can you please explain this once again, that how a living entity can only enjoy by causing destruction to the other? It may be an example.
Because what is enjoyment in this material world? Enjoyment in this material means exploitation of material resources.
Okay. So only in that terms you are speaking, right? When we are exploiting the material enjoyment is what we are talking.
Yeah, we are exploiting material resources. So in that way, when you are exploiting material resources, it is causing some material damage to the other entity, not a specific particular entity, but to someone, maybe anyone, maybe any other living entity, maybe the planet Earth itself, Mother Earth itself. So it's coming at a cost of causing destruction.
Good.
In that sense. Right. So at least we cannot become totally free from exploitation of material nature, because we are living in this material world. So we have to use certain things for our sense gratification. Right. However, we can definitely meditate on this verse and develop our interpersonal relationships with people around us, that the more we think them as just jivas or just personalities or people created for our enjoyment, we will start becoming exploiter, in the relationship. But if we see the presence of Supersoul, then we'll become free from that destructive mentality. I mean, if people who are abusive in nature, if they start seeing the other person as part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is sitting right next to that person in the heart, then that abusive tendency will reduce, if one thinks in that direction. Right? But yes, one needs to have that much thinking ability. So here Prabhupada says, one can protect oneself from degradation to a destructive mentality, if they think this, that the Supersoul is always accompanying the children. Prakrityeva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. But we know the self does everything. So here what it means is the self is not doing the activities externally. The self is the cause, but the causal cause, not the material cause. The material cause is the body, Prakriti, right? Here it doesn't mean I'm not doing anything at all. No, you are doing, definitely you're doing. But you are the causal cause. You're not the material cause. You're not the material cause. You're the causal cause. Prakriti is the material cause. Prakriti is doing everything. We're not doing. And that's very easy to understand. We can only put the food in mouth. After that, we have no control on how it gets digested. Prakriti does it. Right? Prakriti does it. You have no control on that. So we are only the causal cause. In fact, even you don't consciously put your hand into the mouth. It just goes. Right? Now you may say, no, I am very intelligent, PhD scholar, so I know where to put the hand in the mouth. But a baby who is not a PhD scholar also knows you have to put the hand in the mouth. Right? So it happens automatically, isn't it? Automatically. So Prakriti is the cause, the material cause. Prakriti is the material cause. And the jiva is the causal cause. So if one understands this much, then one actually sees. Actually sees. We call it reflex, no? Reflex action. You studied that? Reflex. The body itself reacts. You don't consciously do. Isn't it? Like, for example, someone is going to punch you. So what happens? Immediately the hand blocks. Reflex. It's not you consciously did it. Or something is going to hit your eye. The eyelid itself closes. Reflex. So the Prakriti is acting. Translation. Usha Mataji. Purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadhar Pranam. This body is made by material nature under the direction of the super soul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Dhanvat Pandit.
यदा भूत पृथक् भावम् एकस्थमनुपश्यति तत एव च विस्तारम् ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. He attains to Brahman conception by developing this vision. Or sometimes these statements, when we read these statements, you may think, so here is a call for action. Now let me start seeing this way. So I will also then attain to Brahman. The statements are made in such a way that it appears like it's a call for action, but it's not a call for action. It's a description of someone's vision who is at the Brahman platform. Not that I start seeing like this, so I'll attain to Brahman conception. It's very difficult to see like that. The process is not that. The process is, we have already studied Sarvendriya Gramam, in chapter 12, when we studied about impersonal Brahman realization. You remember? You don't remember? I'm sure you don't remember. So in chapter 12, there's a verse 3 and 4 where the qualities of Brahman are explained, 8 qualities, right? And then the process of realizing Brahman is explained. So there it is said, sense control and sarva bhuta hite rataha. You try to be a well-wisher of all living entities. And that is a practical action. Doing that, one may come to Brahman realization. Yes. However, here it is said that if you have that Brahman conception, then you are able to see everyone in the same platform. Not see the body, but see that spiritual identity. A different vision. Paramgati.
When one can see that the various bodies of living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. In the material conception of life, we find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. That is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to a material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision. Thus, being freed from differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc., one becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse.
Yes. Anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body of Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam. A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus he cannot be destroyed. By nature he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. Hare Krishna.
Next verse. यथा सर्वगतं सौक्ष्म्यात् आकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मा नोपलिप्यते. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. The soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Right? But the soul which is not situated in Brahman vision, does think I am the body. So mixes with the body.
Which is soul situated in Brahman vision means self-realized souls.
Yes, you can say self-realized, you can say liberated, you can say perfected, you can say many things, right? So that soul does not mix with the body, means does not have any strings attached. There's no identification with the body. Though situated in the body. But others, they do. Shamalam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entities is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, kindly explain once more this soul situated in Brahman, even soul situated in us means we. It is not a realized soul, but still it doesn't mix with the body, no. It is situated in the heart, but it is not otherwise mixed. How do we understand this? I am not
Mixing here does not mean like mixing milk and water. Mixing here means associating.
But even no soul does get associated with body.
Why, Prabhu? Why it doesn't get associated? If there is no association with the material body, why
how will we act means?
Then please first of all mute yourself. If there is no association with the material body, then what is the reason of entanglement? Right. So here the word mix, don't take this word mix as mixture of water and milk. There's nothing like that. Mixing here means coming in contact, getting associated. So conditioned soul mixes with the body. How it mixes with the body? Through the subtle body. The ahankar. That is the point of contact. Right? Isn't it? A liberated soul does not have that. So it doesn't mix with the body. Lipyate, upalipyate. Lipyate means coming in contact. Next. Yatha prakashyati ekah kritsnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashyati bharatam. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Very nice verse talking about consciousness, how it spreads across the body, just like the sunshine spreads across the entire universe. The consciousness spreads across the entire body. Shridev Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanyavad Pranam. There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad-gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. but the Supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोरेवम् अन्तरं ज्ञानचक्षुषा भूतप्रकृतिर्मोक्षं च ये विदुर्यान्ति ते परम्. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the supersoul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instruction, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad-gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is a soul, and there's also the supersoul. The soul and the supersoul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization. And one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Let's end the Bhakti-vedanta purpose with the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita, the matter of nature, the enjoy in consciousness. So the subject matter of soul, matter, consciousness is very important to understand, very nicely to be understood, thoroughly. And Srila Prabhupada has spoken at length upon this subject matter. Therefore, devotees should read the books like The Science of Self-Realization and Consciousness, the Missing Link, Life Comes from Life. There's a very nice books which touch upon the subject matter of body, soul, the difference. Very nice books. Okay. Fine. So the chapter is also there. Coming back is also there. All right, we stop here. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, we see verses like 13.31, then there are verses like Brahma, Havir, Brahma, like that. So there are quite a few verses in Bhagavad Gita, and similar verses are found throughout almost all the Vedic scriptures, which actually give you the Advait conception that everything is one, or this realm is illusion, and this is how you attain moksha. So actually, I was thinking why. I mean, there are verses like you see in the 12th chapter, 9th chapter. They are pretty clear about what a jiva should do with bhakti and everything, right? But then there are these verses which come in the gyan section or the karma section, which uh, give a lot of food for Advaita conception, and that's where they take their philosophy and everything from. So why have these ambiguous shlokas or ambiguous verses interspersed in almost all scriptures? I mean, any thought?
Because, first of all, we should know that the reality is not Dvaita. The reality is a combination of both Dvaita and Advaita. That is Achintya Bheda Bhetattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. So if that is the reality, then whenever reality is presented, it can never be presented as pure Advaita and pure Dvaita. It will be always presented as a interspersing of Dvaita and Advaita, because that is the reality, simultaneous oneness and difference. Right? Because that is the reality. And that's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought out that aspect. So we should know why Madhvacharya emphasized strongly on pure dualism, because he wanted to break the teeth of impersonalists. However, we know that in subtle sense that it's not pure Dvaita. It is mix. There is impersonal aspect of Krishna along with the personal aspect of Krishna. Right? However, because impersonalists, they totally deny the personal aspect or decry the personal aspect, and they say impersonal aspect is all in all. So Madhvacharya said, no, personal aspect is all in all. There's nothing like impersonal aspect. However, the reality is, it's in the fabric of reality, the threads are of both personalism and impersonalism. Therefore, in any scripture which is a genuine presentation of the philosophy, you'll find both of them coming together. Right. So that is one thing. Second thing, now if you look at it from the perspective of the readers or those who are different types of seekers, then Krishna is giving a chance for everyone to understand how they can approach the supreme reality, a path for everyone. But you find the same thing in Gita, you find the same thing in Srimad Bhagavatam, you find the same thing in Upanishads, that the knowledge is interspersed and presented, because in reality it is like that. People may say, why in Bhagavad-gita Krishna did not speak, okay, these few chapters on bhakti, these few chapters on jnana, these few chapters on karma, and these few chapters on dhyana. Why he did not say so? Because the reality is everything is together. In the path of bhakti, there is karma also, there is jnana also, there is dhyana also, and there is bhakti also. It's all together. That's why it is like that. Anything else? What happens when actions are committed unconsciously, such as while sleeping or by individuals with mental illness? Who bears responsibility for the consequences? Even the scriptures, they say that someone is mad, so then you can't consider that person responsible, isn't it? So then that person, even the law will not punish such a person. So you that person is himself or herself out of control, has lost his control over the body and mind. So then that person is not considered responsible, held responsible. It is the doing of the material nature, Prakriti. You are not involved consciously in that. Is the birth of a jiva only possible from the womb of a mother? No, the jivas are born in different ways. The jivas are born from an egg. The jivas are born from a womb. The jivas are born from perspiration. There's a Bhagavatam verse, no? Jivas are born in different ways. From womb, from egg, from perspiration. Right? There's a different ways that jivas are born. How can we check our progress or know our progress? Progress in what? In Krishna consciousness. Okay. We can know our progress from the steadiness we have in our spiritual life, from the determination we have in our spiritual life, from the resoluteness of our mind, and our daily execution of activities that we are supposed to do. Slowly, slowly, we understand we are making progress. Your enthusiasm and faith is still there. It exists. It is maintained by you. So you're progressing. Shraddha. Are you able to protect the faith that you have in Krishna, in Parampara, in the process of bhakti? Yes, then you are making progress. Friend of the individual soul. Is it Paramatma? Yes, Paramatma. Lalita Prashta Putnam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In text 25, it's saying that Hatha Yoga system trying to satisfy Supreme Personality of Godhead by this childish activity. My question is that because sometimes I feel my body is not healthy because maybe engaged in so many activities. I forgot to practice my exercise and take care of my body. So I just pick up the Hatha Yoga and some.
I'm not able to understand your question. Please type the question.
Okay, I mean, can we just do Hatha Yoga to make up our body healthy so that we can do devotional service more?
Yeah, why not? What's wrong with that? If you can do normal exercise to keep your body healthy, then why can't you do yoga to keep your body healthy? That's okay. Nothing wrong in that.
Okay. So here Hatha Yoga, he mentioned that is that Nishkama Karma Yogi or
Hatha Yoga is not Nishkam Karma Yoga. Hatha Yoga is not Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Oh, Karma Yogi, right?
No, Hatha Yoga is a type of Ashtanga Yoga.
Ashtanga Yogi. So, because text 25 it mentions 3 types of yogis, right? So, and in Prabhupada's purport, it also at the
Prabhupada is
last
not in the purport. Prabhupada may not explain every single type. No.
Ashtanga Yoga and Dhyana Yoga is actually belong to Ashtanga Yoga.
It's a type. I said it's a type. Not really exactly this. It's a type. It has some aspects of Ashtanga Yoga.
Okay. Thank you.
Punagrahi Karan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just wanted to know that this covering potency or that Maya Shakti, there is a two term we heard that Prakshapatmika Shakti and I think there is another one. Covering Avaranatmika Shakti. Yeah. So how these two things works, Koji? Because the living beings, when having the rebellious mentality, in our normal scenario, if we see, then can understand that just after getting the result, that person able to know that he is doing wrong. But in this scenario, when someone gets a material body, although he's suffering, just like you have given the example yesterday, so someone gets the body of a hog and he's suffering, but still he's thinking he's enjoying. So these things, how it works, this using these two energies.
I did not get your question. I mean,
Koji, just wanted to know that how this
don't give me an example because that example does not relate with your question. The two functions of the Prakriti material nature is that first of all, it pulls you and then it covers you. Right? That's how it is. This is how it functions. It pulls you, then it covers you. Right?
It's a part of this material energy only, Koji?
Yeah, it's a function of material nature. It pulls you and then it covers you. Like, for example, it's very simple understanding. Let's say some jiva was in the body of a demigod, Indra. Okay? Now that jiva has become a pig. So what does material nature done? Pull the jiva from a higher level of consciousness to a lower level of consciousness. Okay?
Yeah.
And after that, what it does? Covers. So that the jiva forgets I was Indra before.
Yeah,
That's what material nature does. Pulls you down and covers you.
Okay, Prabhuji, understood.
That's how the material nature functions. It has pulled you down, it covers you. Pulls you down, it covers you. So then you remove that covering, you will come back to your original consciousness. This is how it functions.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Tulasi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In the purport of text 27, it says the Supreme Lord is the controller of both superior and inferior natures. So in terms of the superior nature, which is the jiva, the Lord controls by sanctioning. Is that the way of the control?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So if that is the case, help me to understand in the example that we had with the shooting, the Robin and Samit and all of that.
So the Lord sanctions. Yes. Without his sanction, no one can shoot someone else.
So help me to understand how the sanction to incur for the karma takes place. I mean, how does that work? At what point is it then the Lord says, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it, and then due to the nature of the jiva, somehow it gets sanctioned? I'm not very clear on that.
You are not clear on this point. Like, are you not clear on how it works? Or you are not clear on how can the Lord sanction?
No, I'm not clear at what point the Lord sanctions that another jiva can incur more karma. that desire, it's like, you've got your own minute independence. So that at what point is that the Lord says, okay, fine, do it.
The Lord is not, first of all, sanctioning blindly. You should know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That Jiva who is going to be killed must also have his or her karma involved, isn't it? Otherwise, you may be very adamant, I want to kill someone, and if that person is not supposed to get killed, the Lord will never sanction. Isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the one who is the instrument, so the efficient cause. At what point does that sanction take place as well?
Do you think it will be the same in all cases?
No, I just very
So
unclear about that.
it won't be the same in all cases, right? Someone may get a sanction after 1 attempt, someone may get a sanction after 4 attempts, someone may get a sanction after 10 attempts. It will not be the same, no?
I get it now. Thank you, Prabhu.
Someone may get sanctioned just on the first attempt. So how much effort that person has to put to get that thing done, that becomes. Now, sanction here does not mean that the Lord is, very minutely orchestrating everything you're doing. Lord is a remote controller. Now, all those petty things are managed by material nature. The logistics. The logistics. Krishna or Paramatma will not get involved in every single petty detail that, okay, first attempt fail, second attempt fail, fourth attempt pass. He's not going to get into those details, That is under the control of the material nature, the demigods, the other controlling powers. Isn't it? How it's going to happen? How it's going to happen, that's not Paramatma's thinking at all. Paramatma's is green or red. Sanction. How it's going to happen, that Prakriti will take care. He has his energies to deal with that. Fine.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So Paramatma is remotely handling, but Paramatma is not getting into every single detail. For that, he has his energies, he has representatives, administrators. Another question. Stop here. Those who are supposed to give the exam today, please join on time. We'll start the exam at 1 p.m. Pending exams, CBS. Right.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare